and to my mind, a meritorious person in the civil service always rises to the top and the mediocre is left behind. So at the end of my career, by the time I became secretary, there were just 12 of us in a batch of about 150 who could reach the secretary level. The rest were just left behind. So it's only merit that counts at the end of the day in the civil service. And it's become even tougher and tougher. And during this government, it's become so tough because guys who are not performing are just being sacked now. So, I mean, we've just had an example of 48 plus people from the tax department being sacked. It's never happened in India. So the government is challenging the civil services to deliver on ground, through outcomes. And I personally feel that the civil servants have taken this on as a challenge in terms of the 8 groups that were formed, and they said that we'll deliver to this growth levels, but they've said that these are a vast range of things that they will deliver, and therefore it's a very fascinating time for India. You can't get a better time than this to work for Government of India.
And what would you advise to a younger person in the room who might be working for one of the tax officials that just got the sack? If they've got to work for that person, what's the way round? Should you shift sector? How do you get around that?
Don't ever work for the tax department. So always be in a developmental role. Tax departments lead you to a very negative kind of a perspective. Get onto a developmental role, work in areas of nutrition, health, education. There are huge challenges which you will never get across the world, and these will enable you to evolve as a great person. I've been I've always worked in commerce, industries, and in tourism. And then I moved over to the Niti Aayog. And suddenly I was asked to prepare outcomes for on education, health, rural development, nutrition. And I was so fascinated. And I said, I've missed all these sectors all my life, and it's been such a learning process. I've evolved as a human being. I've learned so much. These are the biggest challenges. India can never be a great country ever till it doesn't improve the quality of its delivery on health and education.
So how many people in the room work for tax authorities? Well, I know there's one here, there's one there. Susan, who works in India's tax authority. Please, we look forward to your question.
Congratulations, Dr. Kant, because you exhibited the typical Indian administrative service bias, away from India on foreign soil.
Yeah.
How do you discount a department that wins? If you look at it, the state should reduce its functions only to law and order and to revenue administration. How do you justify a moribund bureaucracy? Or how do you even justify that the tax department in itself in India should be headed by an IAS officer instead?
No, I don't. I never said that it should be headed by an IAS officer. I've always said that there needs to be consistency, predictability, and clarity in policies. And the tax department has been singularly responsible for lack of consistency, predictability, and clarity. And to my mind, it's very important that policy and execution should be at arm's length. In India, the tax department creates the policy, evolves the policies, and then gets on to implementation. The policy department of the tax department, the revenue department, should never be manned by tax experts. They should be manned by professional economists. It should be manned by professional experts, not people from the tax department.
Are you in agreement with that, Susan? I'm not. So can you, because I'm not sure that those in the room that are not studying Indian politics would entirely understand your question, but what would your main point be to non-Indians in the room?
I guess, Ngaire, I'm just trying to dovetail your question of performance and motivation to perform with his answer of, meritorious people lasting. Right. Because in the Indian civil services system, it all depends on the age at which you get in, because it's a confirmed tenure of up till 60 years. So if you're able to get in at 20 or 22, you're assured a service of 38 years. Whereas if you get in at 27 or 28, you still have only 20 years or 23 years left. So that's one cutting edge. So really, somebody who gets in at 22 or 23, whether he or she performs or not, is assured service to last till the top, which is changing now probably. Because again, they are gunning a tax department for sacking officials and not the other departments, probably because it's an easier prey. And at the same time, the policies in tax are governed by political considerations. For example, if you decide to exempt agriculture from taxation, it's a political question rather than an economic question. So how far does the tax officials or tax department in any country get to decide the policies as far as, wedding the political compulsions with the economic necessity?
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Can you fire people? Can you fire people in your institution?
Well, I've fired,
Even if they've been there for 28 years?
well, just last week I've fired about 22 people. I mean, for non-delivery, non-performance.
Right.
I mean, either you either perform or you just go back home. I mean, and these were all young people. I mean, we've taken them on as young professionals, etc. Either you deliver or just don't survive. I mean, it must be, government service must be like market. Either you deliver or you go bust. Yeah, as simple as that.
Right.
You can't run government with mediocrity anymore.
Sure.
Definitely not in India right now. And
I think what he means is you've just got to hire Blavatnik school graduates. Satyendra.
Thank you, sir. It's really exciting to hear and learn about. I'm a civil servant, a state civil servant in Haryana.
yeah, wonderful.
So, my question is that there is certain visible change in the central system of working and the central bureaucratic system, but that has not percolated down in the state administrative
Are
system.
you referring to Haryana?
Almost all the states, like Uttar Pradesh. So it has not really percolated, and the initiatives which were taken at the center were copied and duplicated in the state services, but have not really yielded those kind of results. So how do you see this bridging of gap to be done?
To my mind, there are two things which the central government must do, and that is to challenge the state to deliver. Challenge on parameters, specific parameters, challenge them. And also support them. I mean, we created teams which could work with the state governments to achieve those targets. I mean, they were very critical when I was Secretary Industries. We said ease of doing business, you have to do these 100 points, but have workshops. We had something like about 200 workshops across states. And that's how, Jharkhand, I mean, I'd never heard of Jharkhand. I'd never heard of Chhattisgarh. I mean, these states outsmarted Maharashtra, they outsmarted Karnataka, they outsmarted Haryana. All these states were knocked out by these two mineral-rich states. I mean, and therefore, across education, across health, you have to put things in public domain. Just rank district hospitals, put it in public domain. Rank doctors, put them in public domain. Let people know how they're performing. Let electorate know whether the state is delivering or not. That's the challenge for India.